The Florida Podcast Network, the voice of Florida.
Good morning, Mr. and Mrs. America, and all ships at sea. This is your captain speaking, Mean Gene. Mean Gene. The following will be a test of the ship's whistle, the sonar alarm, the cable alarm, and the atomic attack alarm.
And hello, everybody, and welcome to Beach Talk Radio. My name is Ed Ryan, your interim host for the show for today. We'll have more on that later on in the show. The lovely wife is here as well. Today is Saturday, September the 7th, 2019, and we are broadcasting live from Pete's Time Out on Fort Myers Beach, right in the heart of Times Square. Pete's Time Out, of course, has the best breakfast on the beach, so we invite you to come on down, enjoy a perfect people-watching perch, and have some great grub.
Watching perch. Look at you
with
like
the
alliteration.
That? You stayed up late last night.
Yeah.
We want to make sure we give a shout out to everyone listening on the Florida Podcast Network. We appreciate every single listener that we have across Fort Myers, across the state, and across the world. And, of course, you can watch us on Facebook or YouTube, which is cool because of the beach setting in our background. And on the audio side, you can listen live on our app, which is available free from the Apple App Store. We're also on iHeartRadio, Spotify, Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, and our very own website, beachtalkradio.com. We try to make it as easy as possible to listen and watch whenever you want, on whatever device. In fact, you can call Alexa and tell her to play Beach Talk Radio on iHeartRadio, and there we will be. I just said,
there we will
if you say it loud enough now, people that are watching in their house, it'll go off. Alexa, play the Beatles. Before we get rolling with our first guest today, we want to just remind everybody that we did an interview yesterday with Megan Allers and Debbie Voorhees about the November 8th Beach Brews event being held at Lover's Key. That is a fundraiser for the new Welcome and Discovery Center they're building. And you can get tickets online now at eventbrite.com. $50 tickets, and that gets you some beer tasting, 75 VIPs, and that puts you in the pavilion.
Nice.
And you get to, I guess, look out the pavilion and taste more beer.
And you changed our venue a little bit
did.
here.
We are now at table 27, not table 23, just to get a different view, not the Dairy Queen. We have, because Mango Rita's is new right behind us, we wanted to get them in the view. And later this afternoon, before we get rolling today, one last mention, we will be at Millennial Brewing Company in downtown Fort Myers. So it's been a very busy 24 hours, and we'll be there at 1 o'clock today. And later in the show, we'll be talking about turtles and manatees.
Yay.
Lots to talk about there. Our first guest today is Nancy Macaphee from the Lee County Visitor and Conventions Bureau to discuss.
Did he crucify
Did I say
that?
it wrong?
A little, but that's
Oh, sorry. I didn't mean to do that. McPhee, sorry.
Good Lord.
Sorry about that. I did
How
totally.
hard is that?
Totally got it wrong.
They want to add an A every time.
Do they? Does that happen a lot?
Everybody.
It's not even in the spelling, so I don't know why he said that. And we're here to talk about the 6th Annual Island Hopper Song Festival, which is coming up soon in a couple of weeks. Welcome aboard.
Thank you
Thanks for coming
having
on,
me. Thank
Nancy
you.
McPhee.
Always good to be at the beach.
So the first thing we want to talk about is your job. What exactly do you do? I'd like to throw a curveball at the beginning.
Sure.
What's
Well,
your job about?
So I work for the Lee County Visitor and Convention Bureau. My role is product development manager. A big part of that is maintaining our beaches. I manage a lot of funding that goes to our coastal communities for beach maintenance, beach renourishment. I manage other grant funding for nonprofit attraction and event partners. For instance, the Chamber has gotten some funding over the years for sand sculpting, events like that. So I try to help stimulate new opportunities for visitors to enjoy their experience while they're here.
And have you been at that position for a while?
I've been at that position at the Visitor and Convention Bureau for just over 10 years. Prior to that, I was with the Parks Department and was an event organizer in a lot of different ways for them, so Lee County Parks.
Now, when you worked for the Parks Department, you had an event there that you were just telling us about.
Oh,
and we need to figure out how to get that started again.
Yeah.
What was it?
Yeah. It was the Caloosahatchee Adventure Triathlon, and it sounds like something both of you would have loved.
Yeah.
Kayaking, running, and mountain biking out at Caloosahatchee Regional Park in Alva. And so I was one of the organizers along with your next guest, Dan Moser. And,
Crazy.
I left the Parks Department. Things change, and it was a great opportunity to expose people to a wonderful park with lots of amenities out there in Alva.
And it was all out in
Yes,
CRP?
kayaking on the river, running
Okay.
along the south side, and mountain biking on the north side bike
That
trails. It was
would be
awesome.
Crazy.
awesome.
And I
It
was-
was a great event.
That's something. It's a little different.
Yeah.
And you
I
can
was
do that
telling
because
Nancy,
there's no swimming.
That's right. Because I don't like to swim. Well,
Yes.
I suck at it. I would say I would try that for sure because
Well, it was really fun, and,
Now-
and teams of people.
Sure.
You'd bike and she'd kayak and I'd run or something.
no,
like
we'd be on different teams. But I get what you're saying. We definitely want to be on competing teams. It's been 10 years since they did the race.
I probably a little longer. I'm
Okay.
not sure.
And then it could be teams, or can one person do
Yes,
all
of
three?
course, of
All
course.
right.
Yeah,
I
for
want to
sure.
see you kayak.
Hey, I'd have to practice, but
Not
it's
only
easier.
that, you'd get lost.
Oh,
You'd
stop.
be like,
It's easier than swimming.
He'd be out there.
It's easier than swimming. So, the first question I wanted to ask you was, maybe you don't know the answer to this, but I think when I was listening to the council meeting this week, somebody on the council said that this road here is the most lucrative road in all of Lee County. Is that correct? Like,
In
with all
terms
that's
of-
going on, the revenue that it generates for Lee County and
In terms of tourist development.
period. I'm sure that's thrown in there,
Well,
but
I'm sure it's generating revenue for a lot of entities, not just Lee County.
Right.
I think it's an important. It's an important avenue for visitors and for residents, and lots of businesses rely on it. Yeah.
do you guys hold events in downtown Fort Myers too? Because that's really changing.
So the Visitor Convention Bureau really isn't an event organizer. So
Okay.
we support events. The River District Alliance runs a lot of events, and they are one of our grant recipients. But Island Hopper is unusual. The Tourist Development Council funds the Visitor and Convention Bureau, and we're always looking to stimulate business in the need period. The end of September is our biggest need period, and there's not a lot going on. So they asked us to initiate some type of an experience that would lure people down, and that's how Island Hopper was born. 6 years ago, we decided that we were going to stick an event in the very last part of the month of September and touch as many communities as we could in a sustainable way. So that's how Island Hopper was born.
How did the idea come?
Well,
For
again,
this specific-
yeah. So again, we there's a lot of different kinds of events in our area. We know that the beaches of Fort Myers and Sanibel, Lee County, is inspirational to many visitors. Lots of artists and writers come here, and so back about 6 years ago, we explored the opportunity to do a musical event, and we said, what does that look like? We went and looked at other events. Key West does a fantastic songwriter festival, and we thought, this is what we want to do. We want to lure hit-making songwriters to our destination. Maybe they'll find inspiration to write new songs. Maybe they'll fall in love. Their groupies and their followers certainly would follow them to watch them perform on our beaches and in downtown Fort Myers. So that, there was a team of people at the Bureau that were very creative, and we really feel like if you're going to, our goal at the Bureau is to drive room nights to our hoteliers. That's how the Visitor and Convention Bureau is funded. So we started out with just 2 weekends, Captiva and Fort Myers Beach, and then the second year we spanned the midweek piece with downtown Fort Myers in an effort to produce a 10-day festival that would really make a difference in room night revenue.
And iHeartRadio was involved in
Of
this from the
course,
beginning,
yes,
right? Because
yes.
I remember sitting in front of the general manager at iHeartRadio before she left.
Sherry,
and now I think she's in Key West.
She's actually up in Louisiana.
But at one point she was in Key West, right?
She managed the market, a couple of radio stations down there, but she's still in radio, and she's I've talked to her recently, but so it's funny because when we went to Key West to look at their model, we met her. And she had the same idea. She's like, we want to do a songwriter festival in Marco. And we were like, hold the phone. Let's do it in Lee County. The Bureau can back it. The Visitor and Convention Bureau's budget, our marketing budget, is placed out of area. We don't spend locally because our audience is visitors. So we make a radio buy out of market with iHeart, and then Cat Country, the country affiliate locally, 107.1 helps us with the production. They obtain sponsors that help support the production of the festival in terms of stipends for the songwriters that are traveling to get here. They really don't get paid. They get put up in beautiful accommodations on our beach.
Sure.
And then they just, maybe get some help with their airfare, and then they fund the sound and work with the venues here on the beach and everywhere else to produce a good quality event.
By the way, Ray Murphy says hi. He's watching.
Oh, hi, Ray. How are you doing?
He's great. We love
And
Ray.
so the event runs from the 20th to the 29th.
10 full days, 150 performances, only about 8 of which are ticketed and cost something. Most of them are free. There's about 20
Free, people, free.
Yep, 26 venues. We start on Captiva the first weekend. We go downtown the midweek piece, and then we come down to the beach. There's 8 venues here on the beach that have songwriters performing, and it's just an awesome time. It's meant to really listen to the person that wrote the song and what is the meaning behind that song. It might be Luke Bryan or George Strait that cut it, but it's the songwriter that wrote it that you're going to meet at Island Hopper.
So how do you choose the artists? Where do they come from?
So we really rely on our BMI partner, Dan Spears.
That's right,
so he helps us to determine who's going to come. Many of them come back year after year. You'll see Danny Myrick here on the beach. He's written for Low Cash. Butter O'Lee has written for... he wrote Friends in Low Places.
Oh, yeah.
He's going to be on the beach this year. So we're looking for songwriters that have written something that's hit the charts. And Dan helps us do that. He determines who's going to come. We try to mix it up, bring some new acts in. There's a new act you should look for on Fort Myers Beach this year, Striking Matches. Mm-hmm. Our team went to Charleston Songwriter Festival, saw them, fell in love. We reached out. Striking Matches is going to open for Jared Neiman and Rodney Atkins at the Pink Shell, the final show. So it's a show you should not miss.
And Jared Neiman and Rodney Atkins are big. They're big names.
Yeah, they are. And we appreciate iHeart Cat Country's help with obtaining the labels you see on the schedule that have tickets associated. Most of them have been obtained with the help of our team at iHeart Cat Country 107.1.
And the tickets, most of the shows are free, but the ticketed shows, the prices are reasonable, $35.
I think the final show at the Pink Shell might go up a little bit the day of, so you really need to get that ticket. You can book at the Pink Shell and get that ticket included in your room night. So I would definitely check out staying at the Pink Shell if you can.
And the Pink Shell, they're having like a pool party as one of their themed
all of the shows
events.
at the Pink Shell are poolside, so it's really fun.
And one of the shows, the meet and greet, was already sold out. I can't remember now which one it was, but I was like, wow.
It might be the Gone West. So that's Kobe Calais' new band, Gone West. They're going to play at Pincher's downtown.
Yep, that was
I believe it's on the 25th.
Mm-hmm.
So I believe that show's almost, if not already, sold out.
Yeah, it's the 25th at 7 p.m. And I wanted to say, I was looking at this schedule, and for people to just have an idea that it's not just evening stuff that runs all like from the afternoon through to the evening.
Right, on the
weekends.
It starts around 1 o'clock, runs right through till 10 or 11. There's a couple late night happenings on Captiva. Doc Ford's Saturday night starts at 10 o'clock, and it's a big jam. The songwriters all get together and each play one song, and the same thing happens at Diamond Head on the beach. The final Saturday night, there's usually a late night jam, and that's a little bit rowdier, so it's really a lot of fun.
And I was, how long, I saw that you had the app. So there's an app now.
Yes, last year we again
know that.
Again, the Visitor and Convention Bureau's role in the festival is marketing. So how are you going to keep up with the trends? How are you going to attract new visitors, potentially a younger slant, perhaps? So we invested in an app last year. Go to islandhopperfest.com. You can download the app from the App Store. You can look at Fort Myers Beach and decide I'm going to plant myself at one of the venues or poolside all day, and you can sort and create a schedule for yourself. You can enter a sweepstakes to win there was a guitar donated by Blue Chair Bay Rum, one of our sponsors, and Kenny Chesney owns that company. So that guitar is signed by Kenny Chesney. So if you download the app, you can enter to win that guitar. And there's the app is good because during the festival, if there's weather issues or if there's, a schedule change, we're going to push out notifications on the app. The paper schedule, once it's printed,
right.
Things can change. So I would definitely encourage everybody to download the app. You'll see bios of every artist on there. It's really an awesome tool.
Now, you have a local artists, too, that participate.
Of course,
who are some of the local folks?
So we have, we try to include locals as much as we can. Again, if you can see a local any given weekend, what's going to lure a visitor here? What's going to be the urgent reason for them to travel? So that's why we bring the bigger names, the hit makers. But some of our locals that are performing, of course, Sheena Brooke, our local Fort Myers star. There is a group from the ACMA, Americana Music Association. They're going to do a showcase downtown at the Barrel Room. Ray Sorbonne is part of that, Bill Metz. I would encourage you to check out acma.com because they are performing every weekend somewhere in Lee County year-round. You don't have to just wait for Island Hopper to see locals. Some of the other locals that are performing, I sent you the list, Ed. Caleb Neff is a local. Carlene Thiessen is a local. She's an ACMA member as well. So you really need to check out the artist page of IslandHopperFest.com, and you'll see and you'll recognize some of the locals and who they are.
Now, what about the 3-course dinner and wine pairing event?
Cool. So again, we always want
not $35 because you're getting food and wine, but still reasonable.
So my goal, again, always in new product development is always to work with our tourism partners to create experiences. What can we do that's going to hook somebody in?
That's a great one.
That maybe a free show isn't enough for them. So the Twisted Vine and now the Barrel Room.
Okay.
They're owned by the same couple. They are doing a wine pairing, I believe, on Monday night. They've done it every year. We've been downtown. It's really awesome. I believe the songwriter's playing that. I think it might be. Is it Frank Myers? Yeah, Frank Myers has written. Yeah, you'll recognize a lot of Frank's songs. He wrote. I Swear, George Strait, a lot of George Strait stuff. So that is an intimate, quiet experience, and your dinner's included, and it's at one of our best listening spaces in Lee County, the Barrel Room, downtown Fort Myers.
Okay, and if you're just tuning in or flipping on the Facebook, we're talking to Nancy Macaphee from the Lee County Visitors Bureau about the Island Hopper Songwriter Fest. I have to remember not to say festival, it's fest, coming up in a couple of weeks, all over Fort Myers, Sanibel, Fort Myers Beach, wherever you can.
Captiva, downtown, and Fort Myers Beach primarily. We'd love to touch everyone. We know there's businesses in the community that would love a piece of it. The budget only allows so much programming, and we really are respectful on the type of experience our visitors are going to incur. It's September. The end of September, so we need to have a venue that's going to be protected if there's bad weather, right? We need our venues to be walkable and close to the hotels. Again, we're primarily looking to drive room night revenue for our hoteliers because that's the mission of the Visitor and Convention Bureau.
And I would say that I was looking on the website. There's lots of information about drink specials and food specials that are going on at a ton of places in every of the 3 different venues.
And, if you're a business that maybe isn't a venue, but you're in the footprint of the festival, you can post a deal. You can post a hotel deal, whether you're part of the footprint of Island Hopper or not. We encourage all of our businesses in Lee County that want to touch visitors to get on IslandHopperFest.com and work with us to post a deal so that you can have the visitors that are coming in for this festival benefit your business.
And even things like cruises and there was all sorts of coupons.
Why not go on an island
there.
hopping cruise out to the outer islands while you're here?
Now, you said that I don't mean to change the subject, but one of the things that you're responsible for is to bring people down. What are some of the things that you do to attract people to Fort Myers and Fort Myers Beach out of market?
So one of the things I mentioned was the funding that we provide to event organizers in the area, attractions in the area. For instance, our attractions marketing programs next fiscal year is going to fund 39 small nonprofits. The Fort Myers Beach Art Association is one of them. The Mound House is one of them.
Okay.
They get grant funds that they can use to market themselves. The Visitor Convention Bureau primarily is marketing out of market. These dollars allow the smaller attractions to make their website more robust, to experiment with social marketing. Some of them are, it's just not part of their regular budget to do these things. So we're helping them in that way. And then, the Visitor Convention Bureau has a huge team of people. Sales team that goes to consumer shows out of market. We have a person right now out in the Midwest at a group bus tour conference. So we're trying to lure groups of people, group organizers. We have a international sales manager that goes out of the country to lure visitors. So
staff.
Is this all funded through the bed tax?
Yes, it is. Totally. All the Visitor and Convention Bureau is totally funded by tourist tax, not local tax. LeeVCB.com is our industry page. You can see all about all the different departments at the Visitor and Convention Bureau and what we do. Look at our sales and marketing plan.
When they market out there, what kind of media do they use? Is it everything?
Everything. Now it's digital is a big part of what we do. Definitely. You've got to be, your websites, you've got to be able to, people have to reach you digitally. It's not just about print anymore.
Right. Do they have a podcast?
The Visitor and Convention Bureau? I don't know that we've done that yet. I think that we've probably done what I'm doing in other markets with people like you. But we're not doing our own podcast yet.
Okay, well,
something to think about.
So one other thing, did you have another question? Go ahead.
It is kind of off the. I was poking around on the website because then I get kind of not lost, but looking around. There was something that I was reading where there. E-awards.
Yeah.
So that was so heartwarming to read those stories. Can you just give everybody a little snippet of that? I mean,
so we just had the E-awards. They were just, I think, last week out at the Westin. And Elaine McLaughlin was an executive director of the Visitor Convention Bureau for many years, and when she retired, her focus was customer service. We need to have good customer service. Our current executive director, Tam Pygott, her goal is to be the friendliest destination, to have Lee County be known as, when you come, no matter where you go, you're going to be greeted with great customer service. So the E-Awards is an opportunity for visitors and businesses to nominate people that have given exceptional customer service. Wow. And so we had, I think, 700 nominees, and they could be front desk people, they could be housekeepers, they could be bartenders, they could be business owners doing very wonderful things, and visitors are nominating them, and then they're all invited to a big breakfast, and we just again had that, and then there's honorable mention winners and then overall winners in each category. Well, I don't have that information.
There was a lot of winners, little bios that were on there, but they're not. I mean, some of these people had helped somebody. One of the hotel people had helped somebody that was getting a liver transplant and had an issue. Yeah. There was some story about a guy out at the airport who went to great lengths to help some guy from Peru who had an incident that was visiting mid-thing. I mean,
how would people know to nominate them, though?
Well, again, LeeVCB.com, there's nomination forms, but we canvass all of our tourism partners in the spring of each year and remind them to make sure that visitors see the nomination form. And when we hear about a really kind
amazing
act,
stories.
It's quite.
It's a great idea.
It's amazing.
It's awesome, and the people that get nominated and the business owners just love it.
It would be great to have some of them on. I mean, they really.
We can share that information.
Yes, it was great.
Sure.
Great. So you brought something with you for us, and we want to let everybody know what it is. I'm going to let you tell us what we have.
If you book in a hotel for Island Hopper, you get a shell bag. All of our hotel partners that posted a deal on islandhopperfest.com are given Island Hopper shell bags. Shelling is one of the reasons people love to come here. But I'm going to give to Ed and Kim a shell bag full of all different kinds of tchotchkes, including the ever-important beer koozie. But most importantly, what we have in this bag are 2 tickets to the final show.
Yes.
Rodney Atkins and
not
Jared
for us.
Neiman.
For you guys. We're going to give them away.
However Kim and Ed want to give them away.
Thank you.
Again,
That's a great
encourage
prize.
you to book at the Pink Shell because you'll get that ticket. It's on the 29th of September, the final poolside performance on Sunday night. But this is for you to share with your guests however
That's
you
awfully
like.
nice of you to do that.
Mm-hmm.
And we're going to get with John here at Pete's, and we're going to work on a promotion that we're going to tell you guys about during the week.
All right.
That was super cool. You're going to have to pay for your own room and get your own ticket. Nancy, is there anything else you want everybody to know about?
I just think you should check out islandhopperfest.com, download the app. It's a great time. I don't think people realize the intimate experience that we're offering. It's really a gift to the people in Lee County. It's right in your backyard. Again, since the shows are free, it's first come, first seated.
Yeah.
So, look at the
Get
schedule,
early.
decide who you want to see, and check it out. It's really an awesome time.
Well, thank you so much for coming on. Unless you have any other questions,
No.
you're looking
I
at your pad there.
No, I didn't know if those were the festival HQs. You have
the festival headquarters. So if you need help when you're at the festival, the headquarters on Captiva is at the South Seas, Chadwick Square. It's called the Cone Room, right next to Doc Ford's. Downtown, it's going to be in the lobby of the Arcade, which is where the Indigo Hotel is, and then Fort Myers Beach, it's going to be a conference room in the ground floor of the Harbor House, which is right next to Nervous Nelly. So come find us, and we're happy to help you. And we're giving away free tchotchkes if you give us information on how you heard about the festival.
Cool.
So come see us.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you
so much, Nancy. We appreciate you coming on. Big hand for Nancy McPhee, everybody.
And please let us know if you get that race going again.
Yeah. All right, I'm going to take care of these if you want to. All right, let me tell you, folks, about our biggest supporter, our biggest sponsor, our studio home-based sponsor, Pete's Time Out. You hear us talk about Pete's outstanding breakfast, great location, long time, awesome staff, and great ownership. We love them all. What we don't really tell you enough about is their happy hour and 10 wings for $8 this weekend, a quarter pound of peel and eat shrimp for only $14.99. Tonight, the entertainment in Times Square is double standard, and of course, John and Debbie are really the organizers of the Times Square entertainment and put up with all the political BS to get that done. And we can never thank them enough for allowing us to come down here every weekend and do this. Pete's Time Out is right in the heart of Times Square on Fort Myers Beach. You can check them out online at peachtimeout.com. They're also on Facebook. The hours are 7 a.m. to 10 p.m., Sunday through Thursday, and 7 a.m. to 11 p.m. Friday and Saturday. Today's episode is also being sponsored by IT Pros. The last thing you want is the wind blowing away all your commercials so you can't read them. But the second worst thing, thank you very much, Dan, is when your computer craps out. And that's the worst thing that can happen. So if that ever happens, go to IT Pros. Founded right here in Fort Myers Beach, Island IT Pros provides computer services to businesses and homes across Southwest Florida. They cover it all, from telephone systems to firewalls, network security, smart home, audio and video systems to servers and technical support. Keep your computer on and working all the time. Chris has a small and dedicated team which allows him to provide personalized technology solutions for your business or home. Call Chris today at 239-314-0230 or visit them online at islandproit.com. I want to make sure I'm not sending people to the wrong address. Island IT Pro. Thanks, Chris.
And with all of your, messing up your papers, now I left mine over there.
See that?
So
thank you, Dan.
You're going to have to handle all of this.
Our second guest today is Dan Moser. Did I say it right this time?
You got that right.
Okay.
I get a lot of different pronunciations. I can't believe it, but I do.
Dan, Bike Walk Lee is the organization that you started.
Well, I was among the initial group that did, yes.
So what is Bike Walk Lee?
Well, it's a coalition of people and organizations that are trying to get complete streets implemented in Lee County. And that means it's just all of our roadways, whether they're highways or secondary streets or even local neighborhood streets, are going to accommodate everybody, not just drivers. And it's a pretty tough uphill battle, I'll tell you, but I think we've made a lot of progress in it since 2008 when we came together. And it came together all because one particular transportation department was threatening to not only not put any more bike lanes in, but to actually remove the ones that were here. And
wow.
I don't remember hearing that. But who was that? Who was going to do that?
He's not naming.
Yeah,
he said one particular.
Yeah. Well, we could Google it later, Dan. So tell us.
No, then you Google it.
All right.
Well,
I guess you got to be politically friendly with them now.
Yeah,
too.
there's a number of them.
Is there?
Yeah, but it actually caused such an uproar that for the first time in about I've been doing this for over 30 years. It actually people came together in unison to say, "What the heck are you talking about?" And boom, Bike Walk Lee was born. So, and it's a coalition, so it's not an organization per se. We don't have any legal status. It's just a lot of people with the same goal.
How many people are in the group?
It depends on how you want to measure it. Our steering committee's maybe 6 or 8 people now, but there's we touch base with like Healthy Lee, with the Injury Prevention Coalition. We have folks that are sort of cover geographic areas for us, but they do their own thing. in one way or another. One of our founding members is a council person here, Bruce Butcher. He's a great guy and really keeps an eye on things on Fort Myers Beach for us.
Well, we think he might not be a council member for much longer. That's what he said. He wasn't going to run for election, only because his term expired, and he said he didn't want to get divorced.
Well, he's out enjoying the Pacific Northwest right now. He sent me a picture of him cycling out there. And it's
he was. Cool.
And the weather's so beautiful.
That was his excused absence from the meeting this past week.
Oh, whoops, sorry, Bruce.
No,
I didn't
know he was out there. That's pretty
you
cool.
You outed him now.
Does he have a mountain bike or a road bike?
He was actually I didn't see what kind of bike he had. He was standing there with his helmet on with pictures taken.
Nice.
Yeah.
Cool.
So it's not just bikes. It's bikers, it's pedestrians, and it's the transit, motorcycles, motor cars, and transportation all kind of coexisting together.
I'm technically an injury prevention person.
Oh, boy.
That does, I know, real sexy injury prevention. But no.
That's a good thing.
But it is, it's all about all the traffic issues and, everybody's traffic, really. And my first priority is pedestrians, always, because we're at the lowest end of the totem pole and we always are treated that way. Now with e-bikes coming on the picture and they're zipping on the sidewalks, as if we didn't have enough trouble as a pedestrian with regular bicyclists misusing the sidewalks. Now we got motorized bikes on the sidewalks.
I saw a troubling article about them allowing e-bikes in national parks like Yellowstone or Zion. And I'm like, are you kidding me? But anyways.
Well, there is a big push by the industry, the bicycle industry, which includes e-bikes, to just blanket everything. Almost, remember how Segways got in the door by them doing all their homework with the states and all? That's what the folks that are pushing the e-bikes are doing. And then you're going to have to beat them back because they'll be by default allowed.
Okay.
So we're really worried about that, just like we were with Segways. Luckily, Segways didn't come to pass to be much of a problem. That's not going to be the case for e-bikes, I can tell you, and e-scooters and things like that.
Oh, the scooters are litter. That's what they are. In Nashville, when we went to Nashville, they were fun to ride, but the people, they just leave them everywhere. They're all over the sidewalks.
If you're breaking ADA laws left and right with Americans with Disability Act, if you're in a wheelchair or blind and you can't see those things sitting there, and people just drop them like they were trashed. Exactly.
Not to mention the fact that they're riding them, they go pretty fast, and they're not wearing helmets.
Well, they go 18.
Yeah.
Well,
So helmets, that's a big deal. But here's the thing. People don't even know how to ride bikes properly, okay? They ride against traffic. They're up and down on sidewalks, not warning people. And now you put a motor on them, and they're doing 20 miles an hour. They can do up to 20 on their own power, most of the bikes. I think, you talk about an accident waiting to happen, and, we don't use that word much because there ain't too many accidents. Most things are preventable, so they're not really accidents. This is one of those things. These are all preventable. The town of Fort Myers Beach, I know, bans, and everywhere by default, e-bikes are banned from use under power on sidewalks.
Right. Which they should be, because you can easily run over a kid on the sidewalks on Fort Myers Beach at any time. Yeah. And so, Dan, how did you get into cycling?
Well, actually, I started all this from starting to run back in 1978 when the running craze was going on. And I realized, man, the conditions for pedestrians here are horrible. And then a couple years later, I'm doing triathlons and had to get on a bike again, which I hadn't been on since, while I was in high school. And I'm like, I thought it was bad for pedestrians. Mm-hmm. Wow, for a cyclist. So I started attending, like some of the committee meetings that the governments have to try to do something about it. And before you know it, it's a career. And I've been doing it now. I do injury prevention for Lee County EMS. I work a little bit for the hospital trauma center, doing some stuff for them, education programs. And of all things, I do driving evaluations for people to try to get folks that really have no business being on the road, get them to understand that they are a danger to themselves and others.
I used to do driving evaluations in my career over on the other coast.
Really?
I lasted 3 months in that position because I was scared to death, because it was mandatory that even if they failed some of the cognitive and reflex stuff, you had to get in the car. And I don't care, people, that pedal on the other side of those special cars,
it's only a brake.
It's not stopping somebody that's going really fast over a curb, through a red light, the wrong way on I-95.
Can we get back on the subject?
all right.
We're talking about bikes. I don't even know where you're going here with all
Well,
this.
you know what? It is a big. When I'm
It's
in
a
the
big
car,
issue.
when I'm in the
Okay,
car
it's for
with these
another
people,
day.
I always find out what they think about bicyclists on the roadway, and in general. And I'll tell you what, there is a lot of negativity.
Oh, they
there.
hate us.
People-
There's no doubt they hate us. I've had,
Yeah.
I don't know how many, luckily I've never been hit by a car, knock on wood, I guess, but I've had people come as close as they can to me and lay on the horn hoping that I'd crash.
Oh, yeah.
And it doesn't make any sense to me why people would do that. And of course, I think I can pedal as fast as the car is going to catch them and try and, what am I going to do?
No,
They're in a car.
Don't do that now. Don't forget we got stand your ground laws, and so
Right.
you go up to somebody's window, they can just blow your head off and
Right.
get away with it.
That's
so
good to know.
We warn people all the time in
Talk
our
about a
trainings.
segue.
In our trainings, we tell people road rage between bicyclists and motorists is so common, but you're going to lose, man.
There's so many bicyclists in Southwest Florida, in Fort Myers, even in Fort Myers Beach, from wherever they come from. There's a pack that comes from Bonita every Saturday morning, 30, 35, sometimes 50, depending on the weather. Is it your opinion that the bicyclists that are in Southwest Florida know how to bicycle properly?
Well, that's a pretty loaded question, but I have to deal with all ends of the spectrum in my job as both an advocate and safety person. The two ends of the spectrum are sort of the problems. The for lack of a better term, the street folks that don't care. They just want to get from A to B. They don't care anything about rules. They don't know if they're a pedestrian or bicyclist. When they're on the bike, it don't make any difference. The other end are the high-end velo-type riders that do know all the rules and in some ways follow them, like at least they go with traffic, but in other ways they are blatantly disregarding them. They blow through stop signs, red lights.
Right.
You do have the right to take the whole lane, really, in most cases, but when you're taking up 3 lanes, or if there's a bike lane, you got to use those. You're not supposed to be in the lane. It gives the motorists a bad taste in their mouth, and then they take it out on every bicyclist,
Right.
whether even the law-abiding ones.
When to that point, so if people are turning left, and and it's a big intersection, and you've got the 2 left lanes, what is the right thing for a bicyclist
Be
to
a vehicle.
do?
You're a vehicle operator.
Okay.
Just follow. Now we just put in an experimental turn box up at Daniels and Tree Line.
No
so
kidding.
What it's given
That's
you
where
is
you always are now.
It's giving you a chance to make a left turn without having to go into those left turn lanes.
Exactly.
You can go across the intersection, set up in a little green box that's set on the perpendicular road.
Where's the
and then
box?
They're right in front of the right lane of the through lane of each corner.
We
of
are
each
checking
quadrant.
that out today.
Well, can I tell you a quick story
I don't know-
about
I don't
that
know if it's
intersection?
on ground yet.
Okay.
If it isn't, it's this close. So.
Okay.
I used to wear clip-in shoes, and I was at that intersection once, and I just kind of glided
Got
into
to
the
stop.
middle,
Yeah.
and I forgot that I had them on, and I just, when it was
Now, you
crowded,
don't look
everyone was
like it.
stopped, and I just fell over.
That's a rookie mistake, man. You don't look like a rookie to me, but that is a
That's the
classic
last
one,
day
right?
I wore clip-in
But
shoes.
it
I only
wasn't
wear
the
sneakers
only time
now.
you tipped over in those shoes.
No, it was like the 3rd or 4th time, but it couldn't get any more embarrassing in that intersection because
No.
everybody's like, "Are you okay? Are you okay?"
Yeah, well, Kim mentioned something right up front about helmets. I'm a believer in helmets, but I be careful not to push it to the point where it scares people off of bikes, because when I worked for public health, that was our own message, and it actually got the whole bike world mad at us because it was like the end of the world if you didn't wear a helmet. So people stopped letting their kids ride bikes, right? They just stopped letting them. We actually had a downturn at one time in it. So now we temper our message. I think you got to know better. But a situation like what you just described is where you might not get killed by not having a helmet on, but you don't unclip and you land on the side of your head.
Right. No.
You're
It's-
going to be a mess for maybe forever.
Dan, it doesn't make any sense to me that anybody gets on a bicycle, no matter how far they're going, and not put a helmet on. It really should be a law that you should. Look,
Well-
in the background
Well,
now,
you
you
don't
can
have-
see 2 people riding by illegally on the sidewalk, number one, and without helmets on, because you don't need to be going fast to hit your head the wrong way.
Is it illegal to ride your bike in here? I didn't see
It
any
is.
signs
You
that
see,
say it.
there.
So
well,
here's
let
the
me
thing.
let me tell the story about the
But,
signage.
well, all right, but let me just
And then you can answer
let me
that?
just say,
Okay, go ahead.
There's a sign behind the sunset. See, there's a
Okay.
sign on the ground. It's on the ground behind there, and then
Okay.
there's one there and there. But that one, it should be right in
well,
the middle of
they
the
have
sidewalk.
they have sandwich boards that they could put at the beginning of the
Okay.
2 but they don't use them.
Right.
They're for special events only, apparently. I don't understand why they're not out there. Nobody pays attention to. You can't see. If you're riding your bike, you're not really paying attention to the ground. You're looking ahead of you.
Should be looking
if you're
forward.
looking at the ground, you're going to hit something and fall.
That's right.
So it doesn't make any sense for the paintings, but nobody listens to me when
Now, the sidewalk riding here generally on the beach is not illegal. Pretty much all of Lee County, except for the core of downtown Fort Myers, it's not enforced. I see bike cops riding their bikes through the cafe tables downtown. I don't even know how people fit through those things. It's hard to walk through.
Right. Are they wearing helmets?
Usually unclipped.
Yeah.
Oh.
I kid you not.
Wow.
Well, I mean, it just when you see the kids riding around on their bike, I mean, it doesn't make any sense. But what are you going to do? I mean, I think that being aggressive on that is the right thing to do. I mean, if it encourages them not to get on the bike, then I would say don't get on the bike without a helmet.
That is a good point. If we had fewer people that don't know what they're doing on bikes, it'd be a lot better for everybody. But
and like a free bike helmet program for
people,
if that's the issue.
Do you know how many bike helmets
I bet you have
given out?
I bet you have.
And they're still being given out like water in places, and it is a law if you're under 16 to wear them. It is not enforced. Sometimes, the schools and the school resource officers try to do something where they give them out and they give them warning, and then try to enforce it. And guess what? Oh, they're the big bad cop that just gave a 14-year-old a ticket. Oh, my God.
Right.
A $15 ticket. And so it backfires on them, and they say, it's not worth it.
So, Dan, why are there so many bicycle accidents with vehicles and deaths in Lee County?
Well, that is a good question. We think, a lot of us that have been working it, is that, and by the way, they're not accidents, they're crashes, just so you know.
Right.
That is the design of our roads. We over-design our roads. We turn everything as much as we can into highways, and even if they have facilities on them or sidewalks along them, it is daunting and unfriendly for some of our roadways down here to be on them or adjacent to them, and then you got to cross them. We are one of the most dangerous places in the United States to be a pedestrian. And it remains that way. 8 of the top 10.
All of Florida, right?
All of Florida, and 8 of the top 10 worst places in the country to be a pedestrian are in Florida. Up until January of this year, we were number one worst place.
Is that because of the population of the drivers?
Nope. Everything's normalized and put into context. And no. And people blame the elder drivers. Nope. They die a lot more quicker because they're fragile if they get in a crash. Mm-hmm. But they're not usually the problem. I can tell you that much. It's the sort of the mid-range ages. We are trying to move.
Being in a hurry.
Yeah, and we're trying to move cars. We design roads to move cars as seamlessly, as quick as possible, without delay. And then you get that mindset as a driver that you deserve that. So you stop. Fort Myers Beach is a good example. A lot of people don't realize how important it is to be minding those crosswalks, and they're okay when they're in the heavy congested areas. But as they go south, they forget all about it and they go back to their ways.
Right.
So
would you consider Lee County and Fort Myers a safe place for bikers to ride?
No.
But
you can kind of make my theory on this is, and I hate to use the word dangerous because it scares people off, but you kind of make it as safe or as dangerous as you want. Now, if you're overly timid and you're on sidewalks, if you want to get in a crash, ride on the sidewalk. The cars coming out of the side streets and side driveways are not going to stop where they're supposed to.
Right.
It ain't going to kill you, probably, but it's going to ruin your day.
Yeah.
So if you're in the road operating like a vehicle operator, you're going to do better. But the consequences of something bad happening are usually worse than if you were on the sidewalk.
What's the fastest speed you've ever gotten your bike up to?
I just coming down the bridge today is about, as fast as I ever get. I think I hit 26 miles an hour.
That's pretty fast.
Yeah, but that's,
You had a tailwind too, huh?
Well, it was called the Bridge Hill. That's all.
Right. So, have you ever gotten into an accident with your bike? Hit by a car?
Just tiny ones on sidewalks.
Really?
Side moving, somebody came out and just hit my front wheel.
Because they were making a turn and they were turning, their heads looking the other way? Okay.
And, even though I was trying to pay attention to it, that's one reason I don't ride on sidewalks. But occasionally, like on 41 up where I live near downtown, I ain't going to ride on 41 there. I can tell you right now. But no, I've had minimal, I've had a lot of good luck, knock on wood. And I hope it stays that way. But I'm not a big velo rider. I ride for purpose usually. If you look at my bike, it's set up like
like you're going camping.
Yeah, I mean, I carry stuff around like it's my car. And my goal every day that I wake up is not to have to drive in my car.
Right.
Doesn't work out very good anymore. But
well, I like to ride starting at 3:30 in the morning, and that's because there's fewer cars.
That's good. All you got to worry about is those latent drunks.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean the
lit
traffic
up like a Christmas tree.
That's
though.
good.
I will
And that's
say
the other
that.
thing. Do you feel like the bikers are properly lit?
No way.
And I don't mean from anything.
Yeah, right.
I mean, I didn't mean that. You know what I mean?
No, I got you. No, that is a big thing, a big deal. That's one of the few things that the police do enforce proactively, and because it's a pretty good legal traffic stop, if they see you out in the middle of the night without a light on, But it is so important that you are seen by others. It's amazing that so many people disregard it. For EMS, I put a lot of lights on. I go to like soup kitchens and shelters and service places that service folks at the street. And I don't know how many of them have been in jail for not having lights, getting a ticket, not paying it, then there's a bench warrant out for them. Jeez. And yet I'm still putting a light on their bike because they still didn't buy a set of lights for like $7.
Yeah. It doesn't have to be the expensive kind where it lights up the whole street. Yeah.
You've seen 500 feet in the front, 600 in the back. That's it.
So
it's cheap.
I will say, too, it's important to... It's worth noting that pedestrians or joggers early in the morning... I took the dog out yesterday morning, and it was dark, and I could see a guy way down the street. He had a backpack on, and it had these really cool lights on. And I was like, now that's a good idea.
Yeah. Well, statistically, we have a much worse environment for pedestrian fatalities. Like, let's put it this way. On average, we kill 100 people a year on our roads overall. 25 of them are pedestrians or bicyclists. 20 of those 25 are pedestrians.
Wow.
We're way off the charts nationally. And the ones, when you look at the pedestrian fatalities, I mean, there's so many of them that were in the dark, nothing going for them to be seen by the
That's
driver.
the one thing I never understood was how a child got killed in Cape Coral at the bus stop. It's like...
Well, that was a driver going...
But it's dark, too. I mean, I can't understand why the bus stops in Lee County are not lit up like Christmas trees. It just doesn't make any...
Well,
there should not be... Well, there shouldn't be kids standing in the dark. I don't care how much it costs.
Well,
Take it out of Nancy's budget for crying out loud.
We've had a little bit of a kind of unintended consequences of this. First of all, the benches and all, great idea. Now that they've gotten better about where to put them, being legal and being useful. But now, what I've seen in my neighborhood is kids becoming a little bit more arrogant, thinking the world's looking out for them because of all this press, and they're doing the silly stuff worse than they were before.
Yeah.
Especially
I guess
middle school age. That's a tough one.
So one of the things that always puzzled me was the bikers when they ride in a pack. Like if you have a pack of 30 bikers, they take up the whole road, and that's okay. That's part of the rule, right?
Lane. You can take up a lane,
one lane,
but you're not supposed to be more than 2 abreast.
Okay, so that's not how this pack does it. They're sometimes
is the law.
So why can't they just ride single file and not, because that pisses off the drivers.
Well,
you just know it does.
Here's the theory on that, and my theory on it is, all right, say you've got 20 cyclists going out to Captiva. Mm-hmm. Would you rather have to worry about passing 20 of them or 10 when they're 2 abreast?
But I don't think you can pass them on these roads.
Oh, yeah.
Either
it's legal. You can pass them. Zone.
My perception was the lane isn't big enough to pass them.
No, you got to leave the lane. You can pass in a no passing zone, but you got to leave the lane. That's why, first of all, you don't ride too far to the right. You got to make sure drivers from a long ways away, unless it's at least a 14-foot lane, which we have almost none. Otherwise, you can take any part of the lane. Cops don't always understand that or abide by that rule. But that's why 2 abreast is no different than one single file that's in the middle, right? So
why do drivers get so pissed off at bikers?
It's the perception of delay. And
where are they getting to in Florida? I mean, they're really only going to the beach or to the grocery store. I mean, where the hell are they going?
Going to work.
Yeah,
it's mostly weekend riders. I mean, you're not going to see a pack of 30 bikers on Tuesday.
The bike clubs every
day. Yeah, well, I'm wrong.
Day. But the thing is, it's more of a perception of delay because if you see what other things delay you and by how much more than a bicyclist,
Right.
you know, you put it in perspective. I teach this course, well, I haven't done it in a long time, but I'm a certified instructor for Cycling Savvy. And they really get into that kind of stuff. And when you do the math on how much a cyclist is going to delay you, even in a place that's heavily, got a lot of group riding going on, it is so minuscule, but it's all up here.
Yeah.
Because of the design of the road, say, there should be nothing slowing me down. But then you hit the red light and you got to slow down.
Well, that's
anyway,
what I was going to say.
So,
I mean, you're going to follow that thought, then just start blowing through red lights.
Oh, no,
See?
exactly.
He rides on the sidewalk, no helmet. He's not allowed to ride. So nobody pays attention.
That is literally the whole thing is a perception of delay. And they're thinking, what are you doing on the road? You don't have a license. You're not paying taxes, da-da-da-da-da, even though we all are paying taxes for our roads.
Right.
The issue that you don't need to be licensed and all that, it comes up a lot. But it's been fleshed out as being really not practical. In small places it could be, university towns, things like that, it might work. But in a place like this, even registering your bike doesn't, all the police departments that used to do that don't even do it anymore.
Safest road to ride in Lee County is where?
Oh, that's a good question. Sometimes when there's bike lanes, it's more dangerous than not. I just like to find a secondary road near the highway where you can kind of ride parallel.
Gotcha.
I'm lucky enough to live near downtown Fort Myers where we have those options.
Oh.
Everything was developed, remember, before World War II. Once you go from Colonial south or Fowler east, you're in suburban sprawl zone, and you don't usually have those options.
I back when I was biking more, the road over by the old airport, that worked good. But where I work, I drive out to Buckingham, and I always give a whole lane. But I've seen bikers on Neal Road. There's nothing.
Right.
There's and Orange River. Those are tough spots to be riding.
Yeah. And then, people think there's strength in numbers too, but a vehicle can take out 10 as easy as one.
Right.
And,
We had a question from the live studio audience on the Facebook. Ginger wants to know if the bikers have to follow the same rules as the cars in terms of stop signs and lights.
Absolutely. The one thing that they don't have to follow is the minimum speed law, because it's not obviously not practical. And so you can obstruct traffic legally as opposed to a car going under speed.
Yeah.
But otherwise, absolutely. Now, it would be nice if we had the Idaho stop law in Florida, but we don't. Each county or jurisdiction could implement it. And what it is you can use the red lights as stop signs, unless there's a sign like a big intersection, you wouldn't do that, but in general. And then you use stop signs in neighborhoods and things like that as a yield sign. They've had it in place since 1985 in Idaho, and it has actually shown an improvement in safety, no issues, anything like that. So it would be nice. I think one county nearby was considering it at one point, but I think it's dead in the water right now.
What is the rule if somebody runs out of gas and they pull over and the vehicle is in the bike lane? What's the rule the driver needs to follow?
Hey, if that's an emergency, you're not supposed to park in a bike lane. I just came up beautiful North Estero Boulevard, and there's a landscape truck in there, and they're never hassled about it. They really don't have any other option. So it's one of those things that technically
What
is
if there
illegal.
is 20 feet of grass next to the bike lane?
That's where they should be, because it's just like blocking the regular lane of travel. It is a travel lane by law. It's not a paved shoulder. If it's a paved shoulder, it's different, without markings in it. But if it's a bike lane, you are obliged to keep it clear.
Care to finish the story, or should I just let it run?
I had a run-in. I came around a corner. Somebody ran out of gas, didn't move their thing, and
She decided she was going to break the back window with her face.
So
That's the fourth one of those I've heard now.
See?
I'm a big
Why couldn't
proponent.
and they could have pushed the van. It was a minivan, like 2 feet would have been out of the bike lane.
If it had not, that's why I pushed the helmet thing hard, because if it had
Yeah.
not been for that helmet, I would definitely not be sitting here. I was knocked out. I had
Teeth
a
flying.
head injury for a little bit. It was brutal, and that helmet for sure.
You're the fourth person now that I know that's happened to, and every single one of them, if it were not for the helmet.
Absolutely.
And one of them he was he was hurt badly with a lot of other injuries. A world-class triathlete, as a matter of fact. One other guy hit the back of a deputy's car that was in the bike lane. Had somebody pulled over, so he had the red lights on or his blue lights on, and it was over a little rise. So when the cyclist came down, he was riding hard, head down.
Didn't see
went
it.
through the back of the windshield.
It happens.
It's partially the biker's fault.
Yeah, that one. All of them. You know what?
Yeah.
They got citations for failure to maintain your. You're supposed to stop for the. I'm trying to think of the name of the law. But
For
when you
an
rear-end
emergency
somebody,
vehicle, yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
So, Dan, it's been great. I mean, we're a half hour in. What do you want? Anything else you want us to know about bike, walk, Lee, run, fly, whatever it is?
In general,
how do we join? How do we join? How do you get involved?
Go to our website. We have a really good blog. It's always updated. Darla Letourneau kind of keeps that thing way up to date. There's a new group another group in Fort Myers that you want to keep an eye on. Let's see. They're just coming up is Lee Future.
Oh.
They're kind of picking up a lot of the stuff we were doing.
What, are you retiring or something?
No. It's kind of splintering enough that people are going their own way. But what's good? It's an upswell in. There's.
Is that about biking?
It's about everything.
Okay, safety.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So you're also on TV and you write and you're like the media star.
I do a column for Florida Weekly,
okay.
just on outdoors, and they let me kind of run with stuff that is not exactly always outdoorsy. It's kind of the stuff we're talking about here, and I love that publication. And
have you ever thought about doing a podcast? Seriously, I mean, you got a lot to talk about.
I'll tell you what, I do have a very busy personal life right now with some family issues, and so I'm lucky to be doing what I'm doing, believe me. So, and I heard you talking about getting that triathlon going again out in the woods. I wish I had
Tell
time
us how
for
to do it. Tell us how to do it. Who we need to talk to. That'd be great fun. Especially if we could make it a fundraiser for the kids and things like that. Yeah.
Nancy was the best when, she was also the Blue Ways developer.
Oh, okay.
Closer Blue Way. That's her baby.
Yeah, she needs to break out of her shell more.
That.
You should get her back to talk about that with the new Blue Ways coordinator because that is amazing right there.
Yes, cool. I've done some of it. I would love to do all of it.
All right, Dan, we'll let you go back to your your life and your bike.
I'll
and
walk my bike out of here now.
All right.
By the way, where's the bike parking on Times Square? I don't
They do need a bike. That's a good one. That's something Kimmy's been calling for.
Thank you so much.
Thanks a lot, Dan. Thanks for coming in. We appreciate it. We didn't mean to. You're sweating your butt off there. I know. So thank you.
Well, you're in the sun.
I know this angle. I'm not so sure this angle is going to work, dear, because of the sun beating down on us. Thanks,
horrible.
Dan. Big hand for Dan, everybody.
Thank you. Okay, great. Thank you very much.
The crowd is going wild for Dan.
Woo!
I have the crowd, dear. You don't need to do that. With the new unit, I have the crowd now.
I forgot. I'm not used to it.
All righty. Well, Dan was great, and Nancy McPhee was great, and the Songwriter Fest that's coming up is going to be great. We have tickets to give away to the final show. Island Hopper Songwriter Fest is coming up. So I know we want to talk about the manatee and the turtle, so let's hear what we're going to talk about. So.
Hang on, I got to get my statistics.
All right, so during the council meeting this past week, there was some discussion about the turtles, and which I found surprising was that Rexanne said that, I want to be careful not to misquote anybody, but Rexanne kind of hinted that Fort Myers Beach was one of the worst beaches at disorientation for the turtles, which kind of threw me for a loop because I had heard a couple of weeks ago, and I guess it could be both, that it was like a record season for, I guess, turtle hatchlings. Is that the right way to say it?
I'm not sure what you're referring to with that. I think you're talking about that it was a record year for nests and eggs, but that doesn't necessarily translate to actual turtles surviving the whole process and getting to the beach. And I think the point is that if there are more disorientations, that's a chance to wipe out the effect of having more hatchlings.
Okay, well, I was under the impression that it was a record season for turtles. And I guess we'll just have to look that up. And I did call Eve.
We'll have to wait and see how many make it out to the ocean.
I had a call into Eve yesterday. She didn't call me back to ask her what it was, where we stood. I guess it goes to the end of October, right? The season is through from May to the end of October.
I was running on the beach today and saw the yellow tape up around many, many spots.
So now they had like 6 violations or 5 violations that were in August. But
there
they
were
had, like,
4, according to what I heard, there were 4 citations in August. However, the number has been much higher in other months.
Like, you got 93 there in May and 60 in June. So how is there such a big change like that? What happened?
Well, I don't know. I guess, I mean, there was some talk about maybe the environmental officer had other duties that they were being assigned, so there wasn't the ability to do that. I know I heard them say that there was one night surveillance, I guess one night a week, that someone goes out and takes a look, and that you know, a lot of them are repeat offenders.
Well, my question is, at what point? I mean, I love the turtles. I love seeing the little turtles run out there and watching the videos of all that. But at what point? I mean, is it just become like a, you know, that somebody's a turtle Nazi? Like, you're paying much attention to the turtles that everyone's in fear they're going to get violated, and everyone's getting repeat violations. And if you're not, somebody even posted on.
Here's the thing.
Let me finish first. Somebody even posted on Facebook that some people are buying the lights from the town, and they're still getting violations from them, or the lights aren't working, or something like that. Now, I don't know how much truth there is to that, but I mean, at what point is it overkill? I mean, nobody wants the turtles to die. Nobody. I don't want the turtles to die. I'm not saying go out there with your flashlights and jump on the turtles. I'm just saying, I mean, how far do you go? Do you put a full staff together to take care of the turtles? I mean, how do you go from 93 violations to 4? That doesn't make any sense to me.
I don't think there is fear because there's repeat people. So I don't think that people are in fear of that. I think there are other beaches in Florida, so maybe other beaches have different ideas. You know, maybe there's...
Well, believe me, this council always looks to other communities for ideas and adapts their ideas, so I'm sure they looked at that before.
I think it was Joanne that said that FPL installed lights that were not turtle compliant. And so, you know, you've got... It's
not
a
laughing
lot of
at
issues.
that. Somebody posted on our page that the people are so worried about the turtle lighting here, they're not even worried about the people. Like, you walk down Estero Boulevard at night and there's no lighting. Like, you worry a little bit more about the people and a little bit less about the turtles to keep the people safe. I just thought that was interesting. Their lighting is an issue down on Estero Boulevard, and I know the Public Safety Committee's looking at that. And somebody else said the turtles are all dying from all the flashing police lights and fire engine lights at the Lani Kai. I didn't say that.
I really thought we were going to be able to talk about a serious subject without you bringing it down to that level.
I didn't say it. I'm just, sometimes the listeners and the viewers have interesting points of view. You want to share them with everybody. Go ahead.
I hope,
get back to being serious about the turtles.
I hope that there's a way that we can all work together and find a way to protect the people and the turtles.
Right.
And maybe
and the manatees.
Citations, whatever... They work, they don't work, but maybe some positive reinforcement for those businesses who are taking a lead in doing stuff, you know.
Why?
And the manatees is a big issue,
let me ask you a question. Why do the turtles get so much attention? Why don't the stray cats get so much as much attention, or the manatees, or the fish, or the birds? Why so much attention on the turtles?
I believe that the turtles might be close to the endangered list, if not on it. So maybe there's that issue.
You know that for a fact?
I don't. That's why I'm saying maybe.
So the question I have is, when Rexanne says or kind of hints that it's the worst beach.
We're going to get so much flack from this.
Well, I love the turtles, dear. We have a turtle. I'm the only one that feeds the turtle. And I want to know how that turtle in our backyard got so big. When we got the turtle, it was small. Now it's huge. It doesn't even fit the fish tank. No. So when somebody says that this is one of the worst places for the turtles, does that mean that if you go to Tampa or wherever, do they have turtles in Tampa? Or I know they have in West Palm, because Rush would always talk about his lights because he has that big mansion on the beach. Is that comparing it to the same amount of nests that lay eggs in West Palm and in Tampa and Fort Myers? I mean, that's not apples and apples. How do you know that? What are you comparing it to?
I think that was part of the point, that we have a relatively small beach and that was a high number of disturbances.
Well, maybe our small beach has more eggs. Is it possible? I mean, who would even know that? Who would even spend time counting the eggs so that you can have a chart of it? The
FWC is counting the manatees.
Okay, we going over to the manatees now? Or are we sticking to the turtles? I don't want the turtles to get killed. I want to know how we could have a record season and have the worst
I don't know, but
disorientation.
we do have, for many years, Lee County, this is the county number of manatee deaths, is always number 1 or number 2 for the last almost 10 years as far as I went back.
I know. We got some good stats yesterday from Lee County.
It's an issue.
All right, well, tell us what the issue is. How many?
Well,
people want to know the numbers.
In 2017, it was 16. In 2016, it was 19. In 2015, it was 20. And these are watercraft.
Killed by a boat.
These are watercraft. This is not so there's many more that are due to
red tide,
perinatal, just old age, natural causes. But these are watercraft. So the watercraft deaths is rising. It's an issue. It's an ongoing issue. I know we did that newsletter where we talked to a place in Orlando that has free waterway signs that they will give you out and get people to slow down and maintain those no wake zones. And, hey, there's a manatee, might be a manatee in the area.
So I think...
And we talked with Brian Norris from FWC officer, and he talked a lot about that. He's very passionate about that. Yeah.
So I think this issue came up again this week with the council about do they need to do more of an education about the boats and the manatee?
Yeah.
Because they were under the impression that we were having a bad manatee season.
I think we're always having, I mean, historically we've had one. 2010, there was only 12 deaths. That was the lowest number I saw.
So what are we going to do about it?
Well, we don't have a boat, so
we won't be accused.
Well, I would just encourage people to listen to that podcast and to read that newsletter. We can repost it again with that Save the Manatee organization up in Orlando and get their free information. That it's stuff that you can post, especially if you live on a waterway, and make boaters aware and just continue with the education.
Sounds good. You did great today. Very prepared. You seem like you're irritated right now.
I'm irritated because you're not taking it seriously,
I am.
And it's a serious thing.
I love the manatee. Is that what you mean?
They're such big, gentle giants. They cannot get out of the way.
I love the manatee. I'd like to go swimming with the manatee.
That's illegal.
Oh, sorry.
That's an $88 fine.
That's right. Brian told us that. All right, folks, we're going to be, man, you better lighten up at 1 o'clock. We're going to be at Millennial Brewing today at 1 o'clock. We're doing some cross-pollination with the Florida Podcast Network because Dave is coming. I don't even know where Dave is from. I think he's from West Palm.
Where did you come up with that word?
I was up late last night. I tell you what, it was so hot today riding. I thought I was going to die.
It is beautiful down here, but it is warm.
It is warm.
Plan to go in the water.
You guys will need to let us
cool off.
You guys will need to let us know if this angle is working with the sun in the back, or if we need to go back where we came from. It's very hot,
it's too
and
hot.
It's baking us too. And I know how you are with the sun. So, all right, folks, we're done for the day here at Pete's Time Out on Fort Myers Beach in Times Square. We encourage you all to come down. It's crowded here. They're serving up the grub. And we will be back in 1 week for another outstanding show. And hopefully the wife will be in a better mood. And we will see you at 1 o'clock. Take care. Bye-bye. Have a nice day.
Bye, everybody.